Everyone ready? We will...
Is this right? Does this look right to everyone?
Blah, blah.
Blah. The gain looks lower than it usually is.
It's on the Yeti, so...
I feel like the thinger is usually higher up.
Chris, do your hello. Just do your normal, as if you were doing the intro.
Hello, and welcome to
That's not nearly as loud as you do it normally.
I thought I was going kind of loud.
Hello, and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By.
It's probably fine. We tend to clip.
My poor headphones.
Hello, and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By. Yeah, that looks about right.
Wow.
Can I just say a bit of listener feedback? When you do stuff like that, I want to murder you from the back of the bus that I'm sitting on.
That's just how I treat Jake all the time.
That's good. That's fine.
That's fair.
That's the goal.
Just
murder.
Jake already did the intro.
All right, here we go.
Keep every second of it.
Hello, and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, a Star Trek podcast.
Yes.
My name's Jake, and I'm joined by...
Chris?
Ames.
Oh, and Liz.
Liz is back, everyone.
Hello.
Look at that, Liz. And Caitlin's not here because she
I murdered her.
stepped on a Rancor pit or something, right?
That sounds right.
I don't know. She stepped on something gross.
It was injurious.
Yeah, that happens. So Caitlin's not with us, but that's great because
It
now we
happens
get
to
Liz
Caitlin.
here, and Liz is awesome.
Oh.
So welcome back, Liz.
And thank you for jumping in and hanging out with us.
Hey, my pleasure. I get seltzer out of it.
You get seltzer out of it. You can hang out in the previously air-conditioned house, now warming by the second.
So we're going to bang this one out quick.
Yep, that's the
what
idea.
he said.
That is what I said. So what are we talking about today, folks?
What episode is it?
Well, let me tell you.
What episode is
What
it?
episode is
What
it?
episode is it?
It is episode 90.
Woo!
Yeah, 90. That's right, folks. That is 89 more than one.
That's factually correct.
So there we go. We're doing all right. So episode 90, and today on episode 90, we'll be talking about 2 season 3 episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation. First, we'll be discussing Hollow Pursuits, and we'll also be talking about The Most Toys. So let's give a brief summary of those shows. In Hollow Pursuits, we are introduced to a new character, the feckless engineer Barclay, Reg Barclay, who's kind of a loser. And this is his first appearance. He does appear a couple more times, but always finding himself kind of a loser. In this show, we find out he's obsessed with the holodeck. He's a holodeck addicted, I guess. A holoddiction.
Oh no, that's Jordy.
Well, yeah, exactly. Jordy has a lot of stones lecturing anybody on inappropriate holodeck behavior. So anyway, we learn that this fellow, Barclay, he hangs out in the holodeck where he creates fake images of the rest of the senior crew and goofs around with them. He acts tough. He does like a Three Musketeer thing, and he makes out with Troy, and just
Wesley eats a pie.
Yeah, Wesley eats a pie. Riker's like a dopey guy,
And short.
a short dopey guy. So so he does this kind of weird shit, but he's also actually on the crew as well. He's an engineer.
Is he?
And some stuff starts breaking down. First the anti-grav unit goes, and then some dude's glass melts in his hand. The transporter starts turning things into poop. Yeah, and then it all sort of culminates when the warp drive starts racing out of control. And of course, Barclay is the one that's been tasked, Barclay, the fuck up, who's been tasked with solving.
It's so he can redeem himself.
Yeah. It's not like it's important and we shouldn't, maybe get somebody qualified involved.
Wesley? That other fuck up that keeps fucking up?
So while Barclay is working somewhat diligently on this problem in between bouts of napping in the holodeck.
Somewhat.
While he's sort of working on it, the rest of the crew is considering whether or not to fire his lazy ass. And it sounds like the people are kind of leaning in that direction. Picard's a little iffy because he's like, I just can't believe that somebody on my staff would be shitty at this job. And Riker's like, well, you know what? We got duped. We got duped by his old Gap commander who told us he was good, but turns out he's always late for work. He's lazy. He's always banging Troy on the holodeck. But anyway, ship starts flying out of control, and finally, Barclay has an original thought and is like, oh, maybe it's...
Banging Troy was a pretty original thought.
I don't know about that.
Actually, Riker's already thought it a lot, so maybe not.
Probably like half the crew, honestly.
Ooh.
Riker, that guy who had the chorus.
Riva.
Ral?
Was there...
Well, the guy from the Ferengi wormhole episode.
Ral.
Yeah, let's call him Ral.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Oh, with the mullet there.
Mr.
Wyatt
Yeah, Wyatt Earp.
Earp, yeah.
Like, I mean, even though she wasn't what he was expecting, once they got to know each other, he was like, yeah, she'll do. So, I mean, you know. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Sure. So Barclay's like, hey, maybe it's something that we've been spreading around the ship. Hey, guy that handled that broken canister of chemicals, you touched all the things that are broken. Let's find out. So rather than just scanning that guy's hands for the dangerous chemical,
oh yeah, they go all the way down the hall,
all the way to the cargo bay,
wasting precious minutes.
When the ship, it's like the ship is 30 seconds from exploding. That's my impression of the computer.
You sound just like Majel Barrett.
I knew it. So rather than just checking the guy that they suspect has been spreading it around, they go all the way down to cargo bay, open up one of these containers, put on their fancy shiny gloves, and find out, yes, indeed, they've been spreading this dangerous chemical around the ship, and they can neutralize it by freezing it, and they do that, and the ship stops, and Barclay murders all of his holodeck friends.
Except Program 9.
That's the orgy.
We'll get to Program 9 soon.
Okay, well then on the next episode, we meet another massive loser, Kivas Fajo. So we got this kind of tragedy going on. There's a Federation colony that is got some kind of poison in their water table. Just so happens this fella Kivas, Mr. Fajo, he has what they need, the medicine that'll clear up the water table. And so they got Data over there flying it back and forth because the stuff is super explosive and you can't beam it. So it's better to take it in a ship. And of course something goes wrong and Data's shuttle blows up.
Poor Data.
Or so we're not really led to believe, because before that even happened, we saw it. There was some underhanded activities. Turns out Data was not blown up. He was in fact kidnapped.
Which is worse.
That's true. He's kidnapped by Kivas, who, as it so happens, is a collector of one-of-a-kind items from around the galaxy, but evidently mostly Earth.
As usual. All places mostly focus on Earth.
Yes. So he has, among his collection, the Mona Lisa, various other works of art and antiques. Lots of archaeological shit I saw in there. He's got a baseball card that's rare.
Don't forget the lapling.
He does have some alien animal.
Hand puppet.
That's
who was
supposed
very cute.
Supposed to be extinct, but of course he has the last remaining one. And now in his collection, he has a weird couch that's pretty cool. And
is that part of the collection, or is that just for sitting on?
I don't know. It looked one of a kind to me. And now in his collection, he has the only known surviving Soong type android, Data. And all he wants is for Data to sit in a chair. And Data's like, fuck you. You've taken me prisoner. I don't like you. So eat a dick. And Fajo is none too impressed. So he brings his buddy over, Mr. Picknose. And Picknose is not very impressed because Data's like, I'm going to pretend to be a mannequin. Fuck you, Fajo. And Fajo's like, you're a dingus, and fuck you, Data, and you're going to do what I say, or I'm going to shoot your girlfriend, my girlfriend, who you clearly like, with this laser gun that I have that is the worst laser in the world. It will roast you from the inside out over the course of about half a second, but it's gonna suck. So Data finally sits in the chair, and then he and the girlfriend try to do, I say girlfriend, but she's really more of a slave, it seems, so it's probably not the best choice of words.
It's unclear. We'll talk about her, but yeah, her role is a little bit upsetting.
Yeah, she seems to also kind of be a prisoner here. I don't know, but she's like Stockholm. I don't know. Anyway, so they stage an escape, and they're just about to succeed, and of course the alarm goes off, and everybody runs in, and Fajo runs in, he shoots the girl anyway, she dies. Roasts alive, very painfully, she screams, and then Data gets the gun, and Fajo's like, you can't shoot me because you're programmed not to do violence, and then Data shoots him anyway, but...
Did he?
Luckily for Fajo, the transporter happened right at that time, and the Enterprise rescued him, because they cured the water table, which turned out to also be a trick. Probably anyway. So there you have it, folks. Most toys. It's like loner loser week on Starting to Steer Her By.
Yay! Good job, Jake. You did it.
I did.
That's the episode, everyone. So long.
I feel very well caught up.
So saying Ames on the way over, while I have often, counted myself as a pretty big fan of Barclay, I don't know if I've ever seen Hollow Pursuits.
You are the worst fan of Barclay ever.
Like
I spent today watching the A-Team, and I'm not even as big a fan of Barclay as you are. Although now I might be, because Barclay in the A-Team is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, he was cast very much against type for this, is what I understand.
I just think he's got range.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of people think, oh yeah, it's Murdoch, who in the A-Team is like
the manic crazy guy.
Yeah.
They have to break him out of a mental hospital every episode so that the shenanigans can ensue.
That part he has in common. Like he needs psychiatric help in both worlds.
Yeah, but he doesn't have Troy on the A-Team.
And
he's got Mr. T instead.
Thank God.
He's also not a demolitions expert in Star Trek.
That we know of.
I thought he was a pilot.
Yeah, he was a helicopter pilot.
Oh, I thought he was the demolitions guy.
No, he's the pilot.
Oh, great. A crazy
I've never
pilot.
seen an entire episode of the A-Team. So.
All I know is
they're
they
all
love
the
it
same,
when a plan
but
comes
they
together.
have different lines.
Okay.
But yeah, so Reg Barclay, so he is a kind of a fan favorite character, I think. I think he might be a love it or hate it kind of.
He's basically a fan. He's any fan of Star Trek. If a fan of Star Trek were a character on Star Trek.
Yeah, if the writers of Star Trek think very lowly of their fans to make this their fan surrogate on the show, because Barclay is, in my opinion, a real piece of work.
Yeah. I read two different accounts of the depiction of Barclay. I read a reference that the episode writer Sally Caves meant it to be a satirical depiction of Trekkies, whilst everyone else on the production team insists that is not true, so that the fans won't be upset with them.
Yeah, because who wants to be associated with this guy? He quite frankly sucks. He's bad at his job. Or, he appears bad at his job.
Yeah, I think, that's something that you get the impression of, but you don't really see there's no clear example of that. He's just bad at expressing himself.
Well, being late for work consistently
there is that
qualifies you as being bad, in my opinion. And it sounds like, he just doesn't have a lot of initiative.
I don't know, as Whoopi said, if everybody didn't want to be around you and got upset when you were around, I wouldn't show up to work on time either.
Yeah, I see how
It did feel like there wasn't much attempt to work with him.
Again, Whoopi, better than Troy in every regard.
Yeah, it took Picard going, have you tried? And Geordi goes, oh, I don't wanna. He's like, how about you try?
Yeah, because that's it. It's at one point I think it was Geordi, was just like, he's annoying. And it's like,
we have to deal with Wesley on the bridge. You can deal with this one guy in engineering. Come on!
It was at least kind of interesting in that you had a bunch of people who were, it was basically not some sort of social, basically everyone was wrong. Picard was coming in and be like, you all have agreed that he sucks and you don't like him and you're all wrong. Because, at least you're in the wrong in the way that you're approaching it, because...
Yeah.
You find him annoying, you find him weird to deal with. It's basically, just because he's weird doesn't mean he's bad.
And all that's gonna do is exacerbate an already bad situation.
Yeah, he's not gonna like you any better. He's not gonna work with you any better.
Yeah, no, it's just gonna destroy his morale. And yes, admittedly, you also don't know how clearly delicate his psychological state is, but...
Yeah, I don't know.
He could go all Murdoch at any time.
He's also like, especially the conversation where he's sitting in 10 Forward and talking about, he's basically talking about his social anxiety. He's got crippling social anxiety. Yeah. Even right down to like writing down things that he would need to tell someone.
I like that detail. That was a good detail.
I dated someone like that. Like, he would write down what he wanted to say before he would have to say it in a conversation that he knew he had to have. Mm. That guy was an asshole. But regardless...
I'm sorry, Liz.
But, like, this is very much, it was interesting to see, like, a show at this time period. I mean, it would be something that would be interesting even today. To have someone, like, basically, like, he needs therapy, and he's sitting there with a counselor, and he's freaking out about being in therapy, and like, all right, that's a really good tip on the breathing, I'm going to get out of here.
He's also freaking out that his therapist is someone that he fantasizes about in the holodeck, and has made out with multiple times.
It's a little unhealthy. Yeah,
a little bit.
If it weren't for holodeck sequences, like, I wouldn't be as horrified.
That adds a little...
I'd be a lot more sympathetic.
It's weird, though, the way they're presented, like, obviously it's still creepy. Yes. But for some reason, I found myself way less creeped out than I was by anything Geordi did with Hollow Leah. Like, it left me way less like, what's happening?
I just wondered, like, why the entire bridge crew, other than the fact that it's the crew, it's all the characters that the audience knows and loves, and not like people from engineering who he sees. Like, why not that Weasley guy that handled the chemicals? Why not have him in there with O'Brien, and you could beat them up?
Yeah, I mean that would make more sense, but I think, as you say, it wouldn't be as interesting of a show if it were those guys. You want to see,
Wesley with the pie.
Wesley with the pie.
As the blue boy.
Although we could have still had that because Wesley did humiliate him.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. He's often in engineering.
Although not intentionally. He was just being Wesley.
That was actually, like, a reasonable moment for Wesley, like, in the conversation with everybody after, where he realized, like, how he's like, oh, and I
Wesley'd all over the place.
I shut him down and I'm not helping the group attempt here to reach him.
So one thing, I forget who the devil I was talking to. It wasn't anyone on the podcast. Or maybe it was you, Liz. It was someone who's not normally on. A couple of weeks ago, I was discussing the fact that we were getting to Hollow Pursuit soon. And I was like, I'm very fond of Barclay, but it's like, how does a guy like him, and they even say it in the episode, like, get through the academy? We're like, how does he get past the psych test?
Yeah, that nearly broke Wesley and Mendon's brains.
And
I forget one of them.
I forget who I was talking to. If you're a listener, please pipe up and give yourself credit in the Facebook comments. They said, what if Barclay was like kind of borderline beforehand, but no one knew it, and the psych test actually broke him? Huh. But it was sort of a gradual breakdown, and that's how he kind of... Like, if you'd seen him in his academy days, he would have been a bit more stable, but, like, just over the years, he just kept
Something happened in that psych test where he had to make out with Troy against his will. And now he just has to do it every day.
But because it's the only thing that, to me, makes sense, that's now my headcanon. The psych test broke him, and no one realized it.
Well, it's considering the psych test is part of the entrance exam to the academy, you'd think there would be... however long you're at the academy for, time for it to manifest.
Yeah, that's right. Like, maybe he was really good at hiding it.
And he's a lieutenant, so...
The junior grade.
Yeah, but still, that's a couple of years at least, I think.
Yeah, still. It's not, he should, at his age, he should be beyond JG.
Sure.
I mean, it's also possible that the Enterprise is just a way more stressful appointment to have.
They have counselors like Troy all over the place. Or presumably they don't have
like every 5 minutes this ship is about to blow up or phase over into another dimension or get eaten up by an alien.
Or the captain is substituted with alien critters again.
Like, he might have just been, like, on some, like, he might have had a cushy position somewhere quiet before. Some absolutely boring place. Like, here's a good opportunity, Barclay. You're like, okay. Oh my god, I'm going to die.
Yeah, like, he gets there and like, welcome to the ship, Mr. Ah, damn it, we'll talk later.
Is that the warp core? Yeah, we're just gonna have to eject it again.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Whoops.
Good old Barclay. I always feel like Barclay is the retread of Sonia Gomez.
Yeah.
Like the obnoxious, or somewhat obnoxious... Try-hard. Well, he's not really a try-hard.
No.
But
he's try enough.
I don't know. I feel like they tried to introduce like an engineer character who you'd be like, oh, this person. Oh boy, kind of the fuck up character, and that didn't really work with Sonia Gomez because she was just obnoxious.
No, yeah, she was the worst.
But Barclay works on the show well enough that I think that's why they bring him back a few more times.
He definitely, I feel like he must grow after this episode because, like, my first note on it from watching this episode was, this is Barclay's first episode?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
They start him off up here.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm at here? Where is there to go?
I mean, I think the thing about Barclay, too, is that when he does appear, it tends to be in pretty decent episodes, I think.
Yeah. Like Genesis.
Oh, yeah.
There's exceptions to everything.
But no, there are a couple of... I mean, I'm really just thinking of one episode, I think, that I'm like, oh, that was a good episode that had Barclay in it. It was a Barclay-centric
The TNG or the Voyager episode?
TNG.
Oh, he's in some decent Voyager episodes.
I didn't realize he showed up in Voyager. I don't
A couple
remember
of
that.
times.
Yep.
So in this episode...
Yeah, meanwhile... So I have a question, because maybe I just missaw. But the glass that O'Dougal or O'Doyle or the fuck his name was had, right, that melts in his hand,
Mm-hmm.
they later said he was drinking an ale? Who drinks ale out of glass that small? And wasn't there ice in it? What kind of asshole puts ice in a beer?
Was there ice in it?
That's what I'm not sure of.
I didn't see ice.
Okay.
No, you might be thinking of the little
The
features,
marks that were-
yeah,
okay,
on the
good.
outside, like
'Cause-
little bubbly things.
But
Like-
it could also be like a really strong ale, Like, a lot of times you'll get like those little like 8-ounce...
Yeah, this is the
Beer.
future.
I mean, if we're talking about the strength, is not going to be a thing because they drink synthahol.
Yeah, but strength could also refer to the taste, It could be a strongly...
So a shitty ale is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just a guy who likes shitty ales. I know lots of them.
Although
That's
Data
true.
did say it was a light ale
Yeah.
of Earth origin, so... Either way, yeah, I don't know.
No prune juice.
Always thought that was because even last week when Fake Picard did his song, it was like a bigger glass that he got.
Ales for
that he
everyone.
got the beer in.
Yeah. So the Three Musketeers or whatever, Garden of Eden.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
How fucking game, clearly, were the actors?
Oh,
Because
God.
they seemed super into it.
Almost as into it as all of their stunt doubles.
Yes, them too. But just like, the scenes where it was actually them.
Well, I always enjoy when Brent Spiner has to speak with an English accent and is just doing his best Patrick Stewart impression.
Oh, he does a good Patrick Stewart impression.
It's delightful.
It's very cute. He's fucking adorable.
The one person missing from what we see is Worf.
That's true.
He's not in any of the... well, he's maybe at the very end one when he
I feel
deletes
like-
everything.
Oh, O'Brien probably doesn't have to interact with Worf enough for him to be like...
Barclay?
What did I say?
O'Brien.
Same difference.
No, Brian never leaves the station. He's just there sad all the time, like in the webcomic.
He just beams test objects back and forth all
Until
day.
something
That reminds me, is when, after he shows them how it's all fucked up, like, right, I want a level 1 diagnostic, and they all start to leave, and he's like, the face here is like, yeah, alright, I'll just clean this up alone then.
Oh,
Fuckers.
you're the one who did it, dude. You're contaminated, man.
But yeah, no, that was delightful, because the actors, if they weren't actually into it, you couldn't tell. They were really
Because they're good actors.
giving it their all to just be ridiculous and seemingly reveling in it.
Yeah,
Especially Little Riker.
I think it is fun for them when they get to do
Yeah.
they're not regular jobs.
They get a little variety.
And also Data gets to not be an android all the time. Like whenever Nimoy had to not be Spock for a second.
They got to wear...
Look, you get to do another thing. You have to have an emotion. Yay!
They got to wear wonderfully insane costumes.
Oh yeah, this episode did it win or was it just nominated for? It was just nominated for an Emmy in hairstyling.
Oh, I believe that for hairstyling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was fun.
I like
I
how...
am the goddess of empathy.
Oh, Jesus.
What was it?
Honestly, she was better as the goddess of empathy than she is usually. So,
That's a fair point.
also she therapied better as Hollow Troy than an actual Troy.
What else is new?
Yeah.
Everyone's better at Troy's job than Troy.
What was the deal? So her therapy session, like what is going on with mental health care?
Yeah, no,
it's like
That's
I'm gonna
terribly
sit
great.
down next to you and get
Turn the lights down low.
Let's dim the lights. Let's
Close
put on
your eyes.
Let's put on some music.
Yeah,
a
no.
whisper.
Let me slip into something more comfortable.
It did seem very come-on-ish.
You know, lay back and close your eyes. Like, where are you? If he hadn't left, where was that going?
Maybe we've been
You look
thinking
like
about this whole counselor thing wrong. Maybe she's not a therapist. Maybe counselor is
She's
just
just
like
a porn star?
it's just like, maybe that's just what she's doing. Maybe she's like...
You look like you need something warm inside here.
No.
Like, maybe attitudes towards that have changed in
Maybe.
three, and maybe it's totally cool.
Here's the thing. She can sense others' feelings, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah, when
Not
plot
this
allows, right?
Not
Because, like,
Yeah, you'd think. I sense you have a boner.
right?
Close your eyes.
Like, she should have been able to notice before he finally had that outburst of, like, hitting a limit of, like, nope, I'm gonna nope out of here. Like, she pushed him right to the limit. When you're in any kind of, like, therapeutic capacity, like, she has to be gauging his feelings. She has to be like, all right, this is putting him on edge. We're going to try a different approach. We're just going to talk. We're not going to turn on any fucking lights. We're not going to do any kind of meditative.
The breathing is good for when you have a side stitch, by the way. The in through the nose, out through the mouth.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I don't think you need to be an empath to know that, you
No.
know, he's clearly...
People do that today.
People get side stitch all the time.
Yes. This isn't working with him. Let's scale it back and try something a little less...
Troy.
Whatever that was supposed to be.
Bullshit new agey.
Maybe, yeah.
Touch
With
the
early
crystals.
90s.
Yeah, basically. Well, and really, though, how could she, if being an empath, how could she not have picked up on the fact that he had a massive boner? Like, that this was...
Maybe she's used to that.
Oh, maybe. I mean, I
She
guess.
just hears it all the time.
Actually, I would be willing to
tune
believe
it
Like,
out.
you think she would have smelled it.
She's hanged around Riker enough.
Ugh.
Also, like, what is the So I assume, in fact, I know that there are a limited number of holodecks on the Enterprise,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes a lot of energy to use them. And but it seems like they're always free. Like, there's never any
No wait time.
there's no wait time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it would be something you'd have to book,
You'd think.
and you'd have like a limited number of holodeck points per week or something. You know, because
You know what it is? He's a newer crew member. And everyone else had already used up their whole quota on, like, all the orgies. And now they just need to rebuild them.
I guess so.
Or alternately, it's just like, every time someone meets a holodeck, introduce the concept of the holodeck for the first time, they go ape shit for, like, a week, and now just nothing can arouse them anymore.
Well, it does also seem like that the computer should probably be informing, like, there should be like a daily or weekly report about holodeck usage that goes to Counselor Troy, so she can be like, maybe like, oh wow, this Barclay guy's been in there for 22 hours this week.
Yeah.
Maybe I should,
Today.
Yeah.
He's just napping the whole time.
Maybe I should,
in Dr. Crusher's lap.
Yep. It's not
And
as
they
comfy
did-
as a Wookiee's lap behind you. So,
Oh.
as we learned in Solo.
Mm.
and they did, like, it's implied that they did some sort of, like, crew evaluation for Barclay. Like,
Yeah.
Like, because Picard was like, oh, it's rare that I see a negative evaluation. Like, so I just don't see how this has happened. It seems like a total breakdown of command.
Yeah.
Like, Barclay should not be here.
Maybe if Troy had to do the evaluation, though, she didn't do it because she sucks.
Well, she just met him for the first time, apparently, when Geordi forced him to go.
Which
that's a
you'd
problem.
think that, like, step one on joining a crew is you see the physician and then you see the shrink.
Mm-hmm. You point out all the ink splots,
Yeah.
which is what I just watched in A-Team today. He said it looked like ink, and I laughed.
But yeah, I would assume that outside of this episode, at least, in a properly functioning Starfleet ship, like, everybody has their annual physical evaluation, they have their annual mental evaluation, just psychological evaluation, just because they are living
Get their retinax and all that.
every day of their lives in the void of space on a ship that regularly threatens to be wiped from existence.
Yeah.
Yeah, with kids on board.
Yep.
Yes.
All those
Yeah.
kids threatened to be winked out of existence.
So many children.
And, oh, this was another almost saucer separation
Yep.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like they would have ripped out parts.
Oh yeah, I made a comment. Can they do saucer separation at warp?
Well, I think they can, because I think what happens is, because there's a warp.
Do they just
field?
shoot the saucer off?
No, I think it just comes off and then it slows down.
Oh.
But what the problem was that, as Data said,
The warp field was uneven or something.
yeah,
right?
that there was more energy in one side than the other, so I think it would have torqued it or something.
Yeah, it would have spun out of control.
Yeah, because
taken out the warp section.
I mean, the slowing down thing wouldn't. This isn't a vacuum. It's not. There's no air resistance or anything that would slow it down.
Yeah, but I think the warp field itself would start to collapse. Because I think once the warp field collapses, like you just...
you can't maintain warp.
Yeah.
Okay.
So without the warp engine...
They'd still be going crazy fast.
But I assume they must have some way to brake.
Yeah,
They must
they've
have
got
some
braking
kind of...
thrusters, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Otherwise, the saucer as a lifeboat theory doesn't...
No, it's just a
anything.
frisbee.
Yeah, because the saucer does it can propel itself.
Yeah,
it
it's
can
got
pilot
impulse.
separately. So yeah, it would.
Yeah, there must be some kind of secondary engineering section also on in the saucer where like...
Just enough to power that impulse and,
but
and normal controls.
So like it's like
Life support,
The
maybe.
implication is that all the energy on the ship comes from
Wesley's experiment, yes.
Yeah, comes from from the warp core, right? Like everything's
Maybe it has batteries.
the EPS system and
Backup
everything.
system.
Yeah, that can only last for, it can probably only last for so long
Yeah,
without the rest of the ship.
Well, we know that the power system on the ship, the electrical system, is plasma fed.
Mm-hmm.
It's based on plasma. EPS is like electroplasma system or something. So if everything is powered by plasma, and the warp core is the source of all plasma, then you must have some other way to generate it or store it, maybe, if the battery... I don't know. I wish I knew.
You hook up some of the children to special plasma chambers, just suck it right out of them.
Little hamster wheels.
That's why they're on board.
Yes.
They're wee, annoying batteries.
Yeah, children.
Anyway, so Barclay does not delete Program 9, and in my notes, all I wrote was, Program 9 has tits.
Oh, God, it's true.
Yeah.
Though, at least it wasn't like an he's completely magically better ending. It's like he's getting there, but he's not going cold turkey, which is a little more realistic.
Well, I mean, okay, Program 9 is skeevy as fuck. It is...
I'm certain.
It is uncomfortable to watch, especially, as someone who has been creeped on by creepy guys, and, this is what the other side is like, oh god, thank god there's no holodeck, because I'm probably somewhere doing something creepy. Great, okay, fine. Well, that's gross. But at the same time,
It's enough that what we do in The Sims.
That's
consistently drown people.
Was playing The Sims while I was watching this episode.
That's appropriate.
I mean,
That's very appropriate.
I was decorating a house and making a garden, but nothing murderous this time. But I definitely have a...
So you don't have a cow plant, is what you're saying?
Not yet. But I mean, I do enjoy telling people a story of a house that I made where I wanted, it was a creepy goth sim, and I wanted her to have a yard with a bunch of gravestones in it, but you can't just buy gravestones, you have to make them. So,
oh dear.
There was a corner of the yard where she would invite someone walking by to go and make some Pop-Tarts in the oven, next to a potted plant and a rug. And the gate that locked.
At least they got the comfort setting up high with the potted plant.
Yeah, and then they would be screaming on fire while she was up on the top floor playing the violin. So, see, I can't completely judge Barclay, except this wasn't usually someone from work,
That's true.
It was a very cool-looking house, Chris. It was a very cool-looking house. I think I did a pretty great job, actually.
You've broken Chris's mind.
Whatever, he knows. This isn't surprising.
No, that story's new. I've never heard that one before.
Oh, it was a house at the end of the block in one of my neighborhoods.
Okay, Miss White.
That's great. But see, more other real life examples. If someone, made their coworkers in The Sims and just did all sorts of weird
harkening back to that not Orville episode. What the fuck did we watch with you before?
Black Mirror.
Black Mirror episode. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like that. These are just more high-tech versions of it, where like back in the day, like in grade school, you might have had like a revenge, story that you wrote and, kept to yourself. Or like creepy drawings that you didn't show anyone else. Mm-hmm. Like there is a point at which it becomes unhealthy and a warning sign, but there are other times where it's just catharsis if you're not hurting anyone. And so, like, that's something I'm watching, it's like, this is gross, but he's not hurting anyone. But at what
that
point...
we know of.
Right, I mean, like... Banging a holodeck Troy is probably passing a limit that you should be avoiding.
But there's apparently no protocol against it.
And Geordi knows this because he's checked for all the other times he's done it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that being like... That was like the turning point scene with him and Barclay, where he's like, I fell in love in the holodeck myself. And he's like, really?
It's
and he starts like, starts sharing, like, no, you understand me.
Yeah, there was definitely no one better to discover that secret first. Because he could be like, oh, I can't say shit.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right. And they did seem to start getting on a little better after that.
Also, can we just...
Clever.
Why are there's no locks on the holodeck?
Right? They walk in all the time.
There's no notification that a new person has entered the room. There's no sense of privacy on this like super respectful ship.
It's the only way to keep people from fucking on it.
It's also the way to progress the story 90%
that too,
of the
yes.
time.
Yeah, but
it's so bad. Like it's just no.
Well, I wonder if maybe there is locks, but because the senior staff can open the door.
That's
maybe.
True. It was Riker.
Geordi did it once, and then Riker did it.
Yeah, they might have some sort of...
I don't know. But it feels like there should at least be...
There should!
A noise, like a chime or something.
Well, that door is loud as fuck.
Yeah, but not depending on whatever holosuite program or holodeck program
true.
You're running.
That's true.
Like, what if he were at a waterfall?
Or in the midst of a, 3-on-1 foil fight.
Yeah, which... That's another thing that occurred to me. You never see anyone like doing these programs on easy mode. Like suddenly, like Barclay was really good at fencing choreography.
I wrote that too. Like Barclay's actually really good at swordplay because
his stuntman is.
Well, yes, his stuntman.
But there was one
Barclay,
clip where
the
it was
character.
yes. There was one clip where it was like, "Ooh, you didn't hide that well."
Clip.
Well, I also think it is interesting though how they showed Barclay having essentially two entirely different personalities. I think that the Troy scene, right? They deliberately showed both a scene in the holodeck where he was being therapized, and then one outside the holodeck, and like just he's much more confident, obviously, in the holodeck.
His voice is different.
Yeah. So I think
his stutter isn't there.
So I think they did a good job showing how he's really only uncomfortable around other real people. Once he's in the holodeck, he kind of becomes a different person entirely.
So really, Geordi should have walked in musketeer garb, so Barclay wouldn't have known.
That's a good point.
And Troy should always go around dressed as the goddess of empathy.
Clearly.
God, it's a more flattering outfit than that goddamn fabric.
Those horrible dresses they put her in.
God, the way it hugs her figure. At one point, I was like, it looks like she's got 2 sets of breasts because of the way it hugs her ribcage.
Yeah, they're not great.
Really?
And I've never really liked that it's the off-center cut.
I see. I
where
kind
it
of
always
like that.
It just always looks like a boob is going to flop out.
That's kind of true.
I assume
I did notice that at one point.
That's meant to sort of reflect the off-center point in the color on the standard uniforms.
Oh, I thought you were going to make something like intriguing about like it's the off-centerness of human nature.
Oh, no, God, no.
And she's a therapist and this, that,
and also the off-center,
I'm sure that's what the costume designer was going
delta.
for. Because costume designers are really into this kind of shit.
And that seems to be a favored feature in Star Trek. Because like, even in the next episode coming up, like there's a lot of their angles, the sort of downward swoop from one side to the other, like an asymmetrical.
Yeah, well, some of that shit goes back to TOS. Some of the weird fucking costume choices, like the bizarre colors in the Android episode, the one where they made like a replica Kirk, and the android
little girl was made of.
Yeah, and like all the.
You said the Android episode, and there's several of them.
Yeah,
there's also
the Ruck one.
Mud's.
Yeah,
iMud.
Mud's women.
No, the other one.
iMud. You're right.
But yeah, with like the weird bizarre choices of color and cut. The colonists on the happy planet there.
No, angles are futuristic and spacey.
Yeah, apparently.
I would also have to point out, though, when Picard accidentally calls him broccoli.
Oh my god.
Patrick Stewart's face.
Yeah.
that was so
nailed
good.
that.
Riker's face. He nailed that.
And Data is trying to explain it like, oh, no.
Being charitable.
It's
I mean,
slip of the
really,
tongue, clearly.
really, they should write Wesley up for this shit because he started it, and that's really, really immature behavior for a bridge for a bridge crew member.
Mm,
But really, all the other crew members who have participated,
yeah.
Well, that's
They
because
should
it's
know
so
better.
catchy.
because that, I mean, like, that's the moment someone's like, oh yeah, we all call him broccoli. Like, all right, now you are all, like, you're all bullshit as Starfleet officers.
Yeah.
How dare you? This is beneath you.
Yeah.
I was disappointed in everyone, is what I'm trying to say.
You should be.
So disappointed.
I mean, Picard does the same thing in the next episode in The Most Toys when he mistakenly says, blah, 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 Mr. Data, realizing, shit, we think Data's dead and it's Mr. Worf, and now I've made everyone really aware of this, and now we're sad, and Worf is crying.
All these Freudian slips from Picard this week.
I know.
Oh, man.
And he should be above it, too. But mostly it's Wesley's fault.
I mean, he was clearly... Well, we'll talk about that one.
Well, yeah, so anything more on this one? The Hollow Pursuit?
Yes, I have one beef. One problem.
The cat agrees with you.
Kitty is right. The whole problem from the start of the episode is that they were like, we're going to test this platform. We're going to have this technology. We're going to give it a test. All right, ready to do
The
it?
anti-grav?
We're going to, the anti-grav
Train.
platform. We're going to use live, dangerous chemicals for this.
Yeah, that
Get
was
some
funny.
fucking
That was
weights.
funny.
Yeah,
Get the fucking weights.
Use the transporter test object.
Yes!
Yeah, whatever that is.
No, O'Brien
things.
turned it inside out again. And it exploded.
Just have O'Brien sit on it.
Yeah.
I'm helping.
What's he doing? But like that was the whole start of the whole problem. Everyone's blaming, shitting on Barclay for all these things. He's like, I just worked a 12-hour shift to try and fix this problem.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, also, where is OSHA? This is a post-scarcity, post-hazmat suit world.
Oh God, I mean, where is OSHA is just...
But we're gonna go and solve this problem. We're just gonna work in the cargo bay. There's no containment procedure. There's no... They're wearing, the cheap, knockoff Michael Jackson shiny gloves, and
This is a starship
Oh, I like
that
those
has
gloves.
a very breakable glass platform around its warp core.
Oh, yeah, there's
That doesn't bother putting its, coolant tanks behind armored walls.
So we lost OSHA in the post-atomic horror.
Yeah,
apparently.
it's a ship where the first step of a red alert isn't to lock engineering, even if the red alert is caused by a prisoner escape.
On the topic of using the anti-grav, right, to lift those things. So even after the first instance where the thing crapped out and one of the cans fell off and broke open,
Yeah.
then they test it
Shitty
again.
cans, too.
Shitty cans. Well, those are alien. Those are some alien things.
Shitty cans.
They test it later,
Mikulak things.
still with the cans on it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and another one falls off and breaks open.
Yeah.
So I agree, initially I can sort of see, okay, yeah, they didn't expect it to break down. But after it had already shown itself once to be unreliable, you give up on you move the cans by hand. They didn't look that heavy.
Yeah, no.
Fucking get a dolly. Just
Yeah.
You've got 1,000 people on this ship.
Yeah, and tons of those anti-grav bike handles. Come on.
Yeah.
What are those children doing right now? They've done something to do.
Seriously. Cool.
You
Fine.
clearly don't care about their safety.
No.
Time for them to earn their keep.
Anywho.
Most toys.
So many toys. Fajo loves his toys.
What a delicate segue.
Yeah.
I feel like his name is something that I would have cobbled together for an emergency NPC in a game.
Kivas Fajo?
It's like, what is your name? Oh,
Backwards.
Fajo. That's his name. His name is Fajo.
There we go.
Liz, that sounds stupid.
Picked letters out of the alphabet soup. Go.
I'd like to think if it was made now, this episode, he would in fact have a segue, actually.
Oh, yeah. He would just be Job.
Oh, no, I didn't mean puttering around on one. I just meant in his collection.
Oh.
Failed attempt at changing the way people get around.
He should have had a Betamax player.
And Google Glass.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, the Borg have that.
That's true. The Dominion have that.
Yeah, I ended up looking up the quote that the title comes from. He who dies with the most toys wins. Which is credited to, quote, flamboyant millionaire Malcolm Forbes. of Forbes magazine fame, who's notorious for his Fabergé egg collection and collection of special-shaped hot air balloons.
What?
As one does.
What?
So it seems to me...
Also, I think he was in a fight with Trump recently, so that's even better.
Wait, he's still alive?
Ish?
I did see a Forbes in the news recently.
Yeah, this is son of the guy who came up with the magazine.
Oh, okay.
He might still be alive. I didn't actually check that. I was more interested in his Fabergé eggs.
Those are like the most pointless thing in history. Those literally
But
seem
there's
to
so
exist.
much value
I know, it's
assigned
like,
to them, which
it's-
is bizarre.
It's almost like they exist just so as a culture, we could have a shorthand in fiction for this person has too much money.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's all I know about them, is if someone in a film or in a book or something has at least a or more Fabergé egg, you're like, okay, they are stupid wealthy. Or if,
and stupid about where they put their wealth.
yeah. Or if there's
you know
an
how
auction.
many hospitals you could fund, you goddamn asshole.
Seriously.
Instead, you decided to make fucking...
Buy a, not even an interesting trinket.
I mean, it was interesting at the time.
But in
What is this? It's just a decorated egg, right? Like, what
Yeah,
is special about
it's usually
it?
No,
made
it's
out
not
of.
literally an egg.
Well, I know it's not
It's an egg shape. Yeah.
It's not like when you're Easter and you're dyeing eggs in fucking
So
vinegar
is it just
water.
like a curiosity? Is it just like a...
I mean, it's
it's-
usually made of precious materials.
Yeah.
Well,
It's,
sure.
It'll
and very
be inlaid.
intricate.
It might have, like, different types of, like...
But yeah, I don't know what the point of them is outside of fiction.
It's art for art's sake.
Yeah, it's fanciness.
It was
It's
art
proving
at
how
court.
fancy you are.
It was a royal courtier's art. And that's
Right,
why
right.
it's
Well,
why
plenty
it's
of
so
people-
frivolous.
Plenty of people spend
Why
loads
does
of money
anyone
on
own a
art.
tiara?
People spend lots of money on art.
Yeah,
you know?
on paintings.
Paintings.
It doesn't have a function. It just sits on a wall.
Yeah, it's
So
it's
if
because
you're-
you're told it has value.
Yeah.
If you're rich and you like it, why not?
It's just so weird.
It is because people are really bored at court. They'll anything that's remotely interesting.
I have too much money. What do I do?
And I mean, they're very well made. The craftsmanship is.
Can you break them easily? They're like,
Oh, probably because
then
they're not meant to be
well
thrown
made.
around.
What it really comes down to is just this is more proof that thank God they invented television. Because people were clearly bored as fuck before that.
I beg to differ. Because there are definitely moments where I sit there and have like a post-capitalist, like a late capitalist horror. I'm watching, like, man, the budget for this show could have, completely overhauled our infrastructure.
Right, but here's the thing. Let's say we didn't have
But
television.
instead, it's
We're
making
like,
the Kardashians
Solo.
richer.
Right, but if we didn't have television,
Nah.
you know what the person with that money who made the Kardashian show would have done? They would have bought Fabergé eggs. It wasn't going to the hospital anyway.
Well, then at least I wouldn't have to look at it.
So Kivas Fajo.
Yes, quite.
he has to show us his Fabergé eggs.
What a shitbag.
Yeah.
Oh, he was a great shitbag.
Yeah, no, fuck
He
that.
was
Very
like
shiny.
he was like the Harry Mudd of this
I was
Yeah.
thinking that.
Gen-
Yeah,
Generation.
there definitely was a similar. Although I don't know if he had the same charisma as Harry Mudd.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, no.
I mean,
no.
he did have a personality, but I will say this: like, similar to Barclay in a lot of ways, he's clearly not someone who is comfortable in his own skin. I think that he's
That's why he
putting
keeps
on
buying other
airs.
skin.
I think that's why I think he buys stuff just to impress his friends who are also just other rich people.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, obviously, so the woman on the ship who's
Varia.
clearly his number two, she's only there out of fear.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
only
I was-
there because she's afraid of him.
I was wondering about her
Is
because
that clear from the beginning, though?
as well. Oh, that
No, I don't think that comes out until
it's
later.
interesting because he says that he obtained her, that he rescued her. It's unclear how he got her when she was, quote, barely an adult, which sounds so skeezy
Yep.
because he did something really wrong.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and we know that he fucked up her face at one point.
I know,
Yep.
that was odd too.
Oh, I missed
Like you start off thinking maybe she's an alien, and then she does his ways of punishing you are also very magnanimous. Not magnanimous. I forget what word she used. Lavish.
Yeah.
And touches her face, and you're like, oh god.
Well, she could still be an
And she
alien.
and he makes the guys wear all those little stickers on their eyebrows.
Yeah.
So he's clearly a bad guy, and
Oh, yeah.
nobody wants to be around him, so he has to do shitty stuff.
In an early script, he asked Varia to test Data's sexual abilities. And while I'm sad that didn't happen, I'm also sad it didn't happen.
That's, he still got that creep because there's that when he's dissolving Data's uniform and he was basically like, I'd love to, I would be perfectly happy to see you naked.
I mean, so would I, but...
Yeah, and what is that uniform made out of that when it dissolves, it
Wax.
turns into black sludge?
Yeah.
Well,
it is
what it's
synthetic.
dissolving with.
In TOS, it was established that TAS, it was established the uniforms are made out of algae.
That's right. So that's true.
Although now they're probably just replicated.
Yeah, it seemed like it was just made
Out
out
of
of
algae.
algae. So let's talk about Fajo's plan here, right? Because a lot went
He's
into
lucky
this.
it worked.
I know.
Yeah.
He's extreme.
He came up with a whole gigantic ruse with the what the hell was happening on that planet?
Poisoned the water table.
Yeah.
Someone's poisoned the
with
water.
a chemical that
There's a
can
snake in my
only be
boot.
neutralized by this other chemical, which he has,
And is really dangerous.
and it had so his plan, he had to poison the water table. He had to make sure he poisoned it with something that only he had the cure for, and that cure had to be extremely volatile.
Yep.
And couldn't be transported.
And Data had to be the one that had
Yeah,
to
he
get
had
on the
no
shuttle to do
control over that part.
And Data would have had to have no assistant,
I was
nobody
surprised
else.
no one went with him. When he went down to that planet that was radioactive or something, and only Data could survive it. That was one thing, but it's not
Yeah.
explained why only.
If they
Data
made it
could.
the chemical is so dangerous that it can't be near,
And they were saying
organic material. I don't know.
They were saying it weird, but it sounds like they were saying tritium, right? Which is
Something like that.
Which is usually pronounced tritium.
I heard intritium.
Intritium?
Usually that's what they
Or
do.
hitritium?
They'll find
I can't read my fucking
They'll find an
handwriting.
actual material
And then put an
put an
extra
extra thing on it. Oh, it's
That's fair.
super.
'Cause-
Although-
version.
I was going to say, because tritium, if I remember my high school science at all, which is not well, but I feel like tritium is an ion of hydrogen?
Sure.
I think it's...
Outside my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
It's a number of neutrons attached, and so there's 3 neutrons.
You could say whatever you like right
Is
now,
it
Liz, and I would
deuterium?
nod and
Is
say,
it
yeah.
That's an art history major, that's what I remember. But every time I said tritium, it was like, no, it's tritium!
Yeah, it was.
one thing I know.
It was high tritium.
High tritium.
Okay.
Hi,
Quadro
Trident.
But here's the one thing I will say, obviously
Zeno.
he had no control over whether or not Data was going to be the pilot, but I don't think he would have had any qualms about murdering an assistant if there had been one.
So yeah, they would have.
They would have taken Data off the shuttle, knocked out the other guy, and left him in the shuttle when it kerploded.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But yeah, he had, he's lucky they just happened to assign Data.
Yeah. Well, again, yeah, and it's. So
That's
I
the
don't know,
one
I found
part
that
of
to
the
be
plan.
a pretty
Yeah,
big
it's
plot
true.
hole here. That
Everything else with the plan, okay. If he knows there's not much else of that chemical around. That part makes sense. It's only the, leaving it up to chance for Data being the one to do the shuttling.
You would have to, if they had even, made a mention of something that would have suggested that it was a mission of such complexity that it would require an android's brain to do it.
Yeah, that would have...
Or android motor skills or
Yeah,
something.
otherwise you're stuck with Wesley, and you don't want to kidnap Wesley.
Also, I think. He's
please
probably
do that.
just one of those people that is so confident in his diabolical scheme.
Yeah.
But I also think that going there under his real name in his real ship, I feel like for a little extra, he could have had a fake ship with a fake identity. And
I'm
then
sure
there
he
would have
has
been-
dozens of other ships.
And then there would have been zero chance he could ever get caught because nobody would know it was him.
Yeah.
He told them who he was, and he's well known as a collector of rare items.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah,
only
Dolly.
a little leap.
That part made me laugh
Quantum
so
leap.
hard.
So yeah, Fajo, kind of a douche.
Kinda. I just hope his Muppet is okay now.
Those two grunts will take care of it.
Oh God! Wasn't Data was singing some weird little?
He was trying to make the noises at it that Fajo was making, but he wasn't as good at it. Yeah.
Aw.
That was funny.
That and best use of the Mona Lisa I've seen yet TV show.
Yeah. Trying to do the smile.
That was delightful.
Had he never seen the Mona Lisa, Data?
Apparently
Maybe
not.
it's not as big a deal once Fajo takes custody of it.
Mona Lisa isn't that big a deal.
No, it's a very famous.
It's
At
funny.
the moment.
I was reading. Oh, not reading. I was watching on Adam Ruins Everything because I watched all of them in a row the other day because I have no life. And the history of the Mona Lisa is that it's not famous for being a good painting. It's famous because it got stolen once, and they didn't notice for like a day, and then they realized, oh shit. This painting is gone. There used to be something here. I forget what it was because it was unimpressive. Then they get it back, and all of a sudden now it's so fucking cool, and everyone's into it.
It actually came up at Adventure Brothers once.
Well, apparently, it will get stolen again in the future and somehow end up in Kivas Fajo's collection.
Apparently, both.
He could have gotten that reputably.
Yeah.
It sounded like
almost everything.
Everything he had was stolen. I mean, it's not explicitly.
Yeah,
stated.
but then in the record that they listened to, be like, who is this guy anyway? He's got a Starry Night. He's got this. He's got blah blah blah. They'd be like, oh, he's a fucking criminal.
Sure,
instead of a collector.
True.
Sure is lucky that all these Earth famous paintings survived World War III and its aftermath.
Well,
Khan has them all.
That's just good curator.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure if World War III looked like it was about to break out, the curators at various museums would...
Dude, they have, like, when they've got the resources for it, as someone who may have a master's in museum studies, like, they have some serious emergency plans in place, and they get creative sometimes. Like, before the bombing of Baghdad, and when shit went down in North Africa, like, they were doing things like taking everything mobile, putting it into a back room, and walling up, like, the gap.
And they should just have a whole bunch of counterfeit ones. Put those out whenever there's a problem and hide the real ones.
That's kind of been done before.
Sweet.
Nick Cage did it when he stole the Declaration of Independence. He replaced it with a poster.
I think I've seen that documentary. Yeah.
It's like what Mr. Bean did in Bean the movie.
Oh God!
That's
Why
right.
do you have to keep referencing that?
Because I know it's like
So
a
much
horror movie for an art person.
It's just like I'm not even a big fan of Whistler's Mother.
It's
just
a boring painting.
Just don't. Yeah, well, American art is kind of boring a lot of the time, but it's still cringeworthy. I feel like there are multiple ways that these things could survive. Like, they could have had enough warning that they got stuff out of the city because they know the major populations that are like a city is going to be a target. They may, and besides, a lot of major museums have offsite storage somewhere unmarked in the middle of nowhere in the woods or whatever. We'll talk about that heist later, Chris. Don't get too excited.
Can you just replicate them?
That's what I was thinking. I was suddenly wondering, like, what would futuristic restoration processes be? Because now it involves a lot of science and chemicals and all sorts of stuff that are varying levels of destructive. But in the future, like, it could have been something, it could have been hit by the radioactivity of the fallout or whatever, and then started to decay quicker. But then at some point, they had the technology and were able to restore it, like, on a cellular level.
Damn.
The Eiffel Tower's still up.
Yeah, it
Molecular level. That's what I meant to say.
So Paris didn't. So the Louvre might be okay.
Maybe.
Which is where.
And it does have a big underground complex there.
There you go.
Maybe they treated their storage walls with whatever you need against radioactivity.
Yeah.
Is it lead? Do they need lead?
Lead.
They need lead.
Everyone needs lead.
Lead. Yeah.
So apparently, Ames, you may have already come across this, and it might be in your notes as something you wanted to bring up. But this was not our original Kivas.
Yeah, which is sad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, originally they had cast and had like 2 days of shooting with David Rappaport.
Who had much more elaborate makeup.
Yeah, he was a famous little person.
Oh.
But he had like notorious mental health issues and attempted suicide. They replaced him when they realized they couldn't continue filming. And then like a couple months later, he actually died. Of a different attempt.
But yeah, if you look on Memory Alpha, there's a picture of the original character, and again, the makeup was a lot more elaborate.
I don't know how I would have felt about that though, because it would have been another role for a little person where it would have rolled my eyes, because it's exactly where they would cast him. You know, like there are like other roles that I would have rather seen a little person actually get to take on.
Yeah.
Like Alexander in TOS was great.
Oh yeah, no, he was phenomenal.
Apparently, the director also had an initial idea that luckily they didn't go with. Firstly, because it would have been ridiculous, and also because when they had to recast, they would have lost everything. Was to make the Jovis set in proportion with that actor, so that the ceilings would be low and everyone else would have to duck.
Okay, I would have liked that.
Or Brent Spiner, though, if that had happened.
Speaking of elaborate makeup,
his friend
that shows up.
I hated that.
Oh, I
Oh
didn't
my
like
God.
his name. That
Gave
was
me
it
the
Tox
creeps
or
With
something?
his weird jewelry that like
I
wrapped
really
around
like
his
that.
head.
And his like 80 nostrils. I assume they were all
Which he was like
nostrils.
picking the whole time.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a nice touch.
Well, because
Deeply
it's probably
unpleasant.
polite in his culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great, but it was deeply unpleasant, which I assume was the point, so well done there.
Well, yeah, he was supposed to seem skeevy.
He made a
Yeah.
great comment when Mannequin Data flopped over, and that was a great fall.
Yeah,
Good
it
fall,
was a good
Brent
fall.
Spiner. And he says, well, he falls well. I'm like,
I wonder if they
ah,
actually
yay!
did just like get a mannequin and push it over for that fall because
I
there's no
assume
way
it
a
was.
human
I think
being
they had a
could-
mat on the other
could
side,
see-
I think.
Yeah,
Well,
but he
they did have
stayed
him-
really stiff.
They did have him also rebound off the weird sofa, too. So it wasn't just
Yeah.
like, it was floof.
Flop, flop.
Yeah, but
Kinda
it was
roll
still
on your
like
back.
True.
very like the stuntman or mannequin that did that fall did a very
The
good
stunt
job.
mannequin.
I think it hadn't been a person because unless they did a shitload of takes, but because, again, he bounded off the sofa and in the process turned so he landed on his back.
Yeah, that's fair.
And you can't guarantee a mannequin's going to be able to do the turn.
Unless you have
Yeah.
the amazing technology of fishing line suspended from the ceiling.
Yeah, but why would
They
you bother with
don't.
that?
Because having a human being
This is
remain
the 90s,
perfectly
Jake.
stiff as they fall is very...
No, I thought, no. I think
They have a
there's
lot of
also,
core
like,
control.
yeah, the way that a body would flop is way different from how a mannequin would flop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got they got a stunt mime.
Maybe.
And mimes
Perfect.
can stay very stiff.
Quite possible.
God damn it.
So that gun, right?
Mm.
Oh,
They're
the
all like,
disruptor?
it's the most horrible gun ever.
When they kept calling, what is it, the something T gun? And I'm like, does
Yeah.
it shoot T at you? Shut up, Ames.
It seemed less horrible than the one from the Revis episode.
The
where,
turn you into
like,
a skeleton first.
Yes, that's what I was
Oh.
expecting.
Yeah, but
Like-
then when you're a skeleton, you're probably already dead. This thing...
No, because
it's
if you watch that clip,
Mm.
they're making faces to the
No.
bitter end.
Yeah, it like strips
Pretty
off
horrifying.
your outer layer first, and like I don't know, it was really bad.
Because you look at they're it's almost like Mars Attacks. Like the head
Yeah.
goes last, and they seem aware until
Mm.
it goes. Maybe something about the nature of the whatever T disruptor, though. Like maybe it seems to take longer if you're the victim.
Maybe
It shoots tea at you. That's what
Yeah.
happens.
It
Overly steeped tea.
Oh, it's
Mm.
bitter and it scalds.
Oh, the worst.
Also, why did they pull the whole fake out thing with the gun at the end? Like, there were so many gun fake outs. It's like, oh, I'm going to shoot Varia. Oh, no, I'm not. Yes, I am. Oh, Data's gonna shoot Guy. No, he's not. Yes, he is. And then we're gonna leave it questionable.
Oh no, Data
I feel like, yeah.
pulled the trigger is my interpretation.
No, it definitely was.
And Brent Spiner says, like, no, I'm certain Data did, but they left it vague so you could think maybe he didn't, but...
Yeah, no.
They could have left it way vaguer if they say didn't have it charging or didn't
Yeah,
have
didn't
it
have
blasting.
O'Brien having to turn it off.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if that happened, then you'd think would he have done it? Not did he do it? Because it was very clear since the there's evidence in the transporter beam that there's a firing weapon.
Yeah.
Like they did a lousy job making it vague.
Yeah, which good, because again, I personally think it's a major step in Data's development as a human. He was gonna straight up murder somebody.
Yeah.
Well, I think the
Who
whole
kind of deserved it.
the whole episode was an interesting look at Data in terms of, I guess it's programming, or his personality in terms of like self-preservation and like how he escalates, starting from verbal requests and starts to escalate it into violence in terms of like self-preservation and response to capture.
Yep.
And it's almost like the rules of robotics at work. The laws of robotics at work, because what he's threatened, what's his face, Fajo is threatening at the end is hurting more people.
Yeah.
And
He's, I might kill
yeah.
this guy, and you guys gotta make
That
his
poor
face
guy.
like, oh me, no.
I do.
I wore the stickers on my face just like you wanted.
Also, Data has a sense of irony and ironic echo when he throws Fajo's words right back at him.
Mm.
But at the same time, Fajo seemed more upset by the fact that Data couldn't gloat at him than he could have.
Yeah.
Like, I think the fact that his imprisonment and loss of everything was just a matter of fact to Data hurt him more.
Yeah.
Good. Skeevy prick.
One thing I did like about Fajo was his attempt first, I'm thinking, like, there's a tabletop role-playing game, and it's in GURPS, and it's specifically for Discworld,
Okay.
where you can acquire a linguistic skill that is shouting at foreigners.
I thought of that.
And that's exactly like when Fajo first tries to interact with Data. I'm like, oh, I see he's using a shouting at foreigners skill.
Yeah.
It's like, it took great effort to acquire you. And just like gesticulating. It was ridiculous and I loved it.
Oh my god.
It was funny, but it also didn't make sense. Like, you clearly know a lot about Data.
Yeah.
You've already heard him talk. You should know that you can just talk at him.
Yeah, all of your assistants have been helping him do the thing and load the shuttlecraft.
Yeah.
Like, he functions as a person does.
Yeah,
And he's
Fajo
fully
does seem to have-
functional.
to not understand really what Data is, and maybe that's actually part of the character, though.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
more
he's a
interested.
curiosity.
He's more interested in the rarity of Data than Data himself.
Also, dude, give him a nicer chair.
Yeah, but
No.
You must have some bitchin' chairs in your collection you could let him, like, resplend in. Is that a verb? It isn't.
Sure. Let's say yes.
The act of being resplendent.
Yes, as Data would do.
He was-
Although they gave him a stupid little uniform to wear.
Oh, that
like, why not
outfit
give
was-
him something better, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty boring.
Well, again, it was very, like, throwback TOS.
It was.
It really did feel like something from a 60s
with the
episode.
weird way that it starts as culottes and then becomes leggings. It's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
And then they're, like, just randomly, oh, it's purple now, and his collar was asymmetrical. It just, ugh.
It looked like pajamas.
It was bad. It was bad.
I'm gonna change the subject a little bit.
Go for it.
Interesting use of Worf this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Like, he was the only one that really had a reaction when the fucking shuttlecraft exploded.
Well,
he
and
gives his-
Disagree.
Only one had an audible one.
Yes.
Well,
Because Picard was like, I really enjoyed the scene after where Picard was trying to keep his shit together.
Yeah.
And it was clearly like he was upset by Data's loss.
well, yes. But Worf got the Data line, which I didn't
Yeah.
expect it to come from Worf.
Yeah, no, I would have expected... was Geordi on the bridge?
I don't think
Yeah, he was.
Was he?
Because he was reading like everything's within optimal bounds, and as soon as something went wrong, he stared and he's like, "No, wait, I gotta look at the numbers."
You'd have expected it from either Geordi or Wesley.
Maybe Riker. Maybe, because Riker's got a lot of humanity that he wears on his sleeve.
Yeah, but he's also swaggering macho dude.
Yeah, like, I feel like the people who are closest to him are Geordi and Wesley.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Barclay.
I do feel like they kind of fucked up his makeup in this episode, though.
Who's
Worf's?
Worf's.
I noticed a couple weird moments,
Like,
too.
it seems like they forgot to Yeah, exactly. Next to his right eye. We're both pointing next to our right eyes, listeners.
I mentioned it to Jake, like, does he usually have that weird fold where you can tell the head connects with his face?
Well, no, I think there is, like,
a
ridge there. Maybe it was more pronounced.
That's right. I feel like it's
normal.
usually less prominent or something.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't
it
think
felt
I've ever
like-
noticed it before.
Like, I definitely felt like, oh, this is what somebody at Comic-Con looks like when they've got Klingon ridges. You can tell, right? I feel like I'm usually less conscious of where Michael Dorn ends and the scene begins, you know?
I mean, I wonder if maybe it was this week's makeup team or whatever, because,
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe.
like, makeup was a little heavy-handed in general on some people.
No, that I didn't notice. I'll admit.
Like, their blush was a little too much, or whatever the men had on their lips was more noticeable than it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
What's
They-
her name on Fajo's ship? She definitely, like...
Varia?
looked like- yeah, Varia is from Planet 1987 Dance Party.
She gave me real, because of how, like, sort of boxy her face was. I was thinking of, I can't think of his name, but the android from Red Dwarf.
Oh, I don't know all the
Lister?
characters in Red Dwarf.
No, Lister's the lead.
I've never seen, so.
But his makeup, if you look him up, he's got this very sort of, like, he's flesh-colored but very boxy in his design, and I just kind of got vibes of him off of that. But yeah, the use of Worf is really
And
interesting.
they bring up Yar specifically to say, like, you're now replacing a second officer because they've died, and he has to say, like, no, this is just how it is when you're a fucking Klingon or, you know, anyone in Starfleet who has to do their job. And they're like, yeah, but it's fucking hard. And he doesn't want to admit it, but it is, and his heart's breaking.
Yeah.
And his two penises are breaking.
Oh, no. Didn't know that could happen in grief.
It happens.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, there's that. There's actually there's the continuity of some of Data's stuff.
Yeah.
He's still got that
To watch
Yar
his
hologram.
Yar porn.
I'm pretty sure too that box of commendations is one of the things he was packing in the episode where they're questioning his
Yeah, I
sapience.
think you're right, too.
He
has acquired the poker chips.
Yeah,
Oh.
and the cards.
I think the ridge on
Jake's
Worf,
you're still watching the Ridge?
I think it might just be a season 3 thing.
okay.
Because, like, season 3 pictures of him have the ridge, but other seasons and the films, he does not have. Like, here's Here's a much later
It's
picture.
unfortunate. You can't just change someone's face like that.
Well, I mean, his first season had, there's no ridge there.
No, it's all above the eye line.
Yeah.
But there was one from Sins of the Father where you can see that he has the ridge.
Maybe this is the one time they've just shown him dead on profile like that, and that's why we noticed.
And the lighting might have brought it out more.
Yeah.
But yeah, his season, he seems to have a slightly different head fairly regularly, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe he molts. Maybe Klingons molt and their head changes.
Maybe.
Sure, let's say
They just they're.
Oh, that's horrible, and I
You
love
have to
it.
keep it like a walnut shell.
You've got a new fruit bowl.
Yeah,
His
season 1 head was really weird. It was
I love the idea of you just sitting there one day, just kind of scratch it out, and boop, and everyone's like, "Oh God, Worf!" Like, what? No, this is normal.
He's just got a whole bunch of them on his wall. His old through the years.
Oh God.
But yeah, in general, I liked how this episode was kind of a sneaky way to, do a retrospective of Data's relationships with the other characters in the crew without losing Data from the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that was nice. Here's an interesting thing, though. Picard and Riker both agree that Worf is the best person to take over at Ops.
Which is weird.
Yeah,
right?
He's head of security. He's got other things that are higher up on his list.
And things that are that he's really good at,
and
theoretically.
we've seen other people who have to sub in at Ops fairly frequently whenever Data stands up.
Yeah, but they're not regulars on the show.
And they wanted to have that moment with Troy.
Yeah, they did want. They just wanted to do that.
It's a moment where sense was replaced by what makes for a better story.
Yeah, like, this can't just be about Data. Let's see if we can involve Worf, because people really like Worf.
He didn't get to be a musketeer last week, so...
No.
I kind of wish that in the writing of this episode, they... I see why they did, but I kind of wish that they let Data's death linger a bit. Not...
It lingers. It surely lingers for Geordi.
Well, no. Yeah. I mean for the audience. So we know because we see him get shocked by the thumbprint thing. So we know right away before it even happens that
something's up.
It's fake.
Yeah, you're mostly watching it for the expressions of people on the ship.
Yeah,
to see oh fuck, what?
See, I would have done it. I would have had the cold open without showing him get shocked, just showing the thing blow up, and then I would have the first scene on the bridge of them trying to deal with the situation, and then maybe even a little bit of the crew reaction before showing him as Fajo's prisoner. And explaining, oh no, we faked your death so we could steal you. Because I know that nobody watching the show would be like, oh, Data's dead. But
well, some might after the way Yar went.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a fair.
Could have been a good way to fake him out before the credits. Let them linger through the commercials and then
and then have that moment in the Windows desktop holodeck where you say goodbye.
Oh,
I did like that when he came to, he pulled his thumb back. For him, they had just been like...
no time had passed. I didn't notice that.
This is just another reason why we need to have subcutaneous communicators. So that... Because once he wakes up and he realizes, I'm somewhere else, and my communicator's gone.
Yeah.
It's any fucking time.
Since he's an android, just hook him up.
Yeah,
just give him an implant.
He could literally be a walking Wi-Fi hotspot.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay those bastards at Verizon for it.
I want to be friends with Data now.
That's just so he's closer to you so your Wi-Fi's better.
I refuse to believe that even if... it seems ridiculous. Even if the communicator itself is a piece of jewelry or something else, that there isn't some microchip. Why isn't everybody just chipped for tracking purposes? Because it happens so often that somebody loses their communicator and, we can't track them anymore. We can't get a transporter lock.
Yep.
Da, 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 da. Even if it's not a communicator itself, there should at least be a tracker that can be picked up from far away.
And you could still have the story like this, because you could assume that someone like Fajo would have done his research and
deactivate.
Would have said make sure to take out the who's he what's it.
Yeah.
Or his gallery would be the walls would be lined with something to block the
some sort of interfering thing. Oh yes, the walls of course are pure Tridacopper.
Yes. Maybe I wonder if there's
Superland
an in-world explanation.
Living beings. Don't shoot them. Ooh.
like, I mean, Starfleet, we learn at some point, I guess, I don't know if it comes up before DS9. Is there something that, like, there seems to be an in-world aversion to any kind of genetic alteration. There may be augmentation is something that's closely regulated.
Yeah.
Though, I mean, then Geordi comes into the picture, and there's where's the line?
I don't think the prohibition on genetic engineering is really explored much until DS9.
Yeah.
But I mean, it does stand to reason though that there would be considering the I was going to say the Clone Wars, considering the Eugenics Wars.
It's putting a lot of consideration in the Clone Wars.
But
Wipe it off the face of the earth.
That's actually the real reason genetic engineering isn't allowed in Star Trek. Because in the world of Star Trek, Star Wars is still movies.
Oh.
And they really hate the Clone Wars.
Do you know why it was the Eugenics Wars? Because it was actually an attack of people named Eugene. like
sounds about right.
Like Eugene Roddenberry.
Oh no!
Oh, I just love the idea of an army of guys named Eugene. Because again, if we're talking about fiction, Eugene is like such a stereotypical nerd name.
Yeah.
So it's just like an assault of like basically Far Side nerds.
Yep.
Their feet are so big!
Oh no!
Why are their feet so big?
Because Gary Larson's drawing style is very distinct. At least I assume that's what Chris was getting at.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I feel like his characters tend to have large.
I understood that reference.
Yes.
Well, they tend to they start large and they get smaller as you go up.
Yeah.
That's the look.
They're cone-shaped?
Kinda. Actually, in a way. Huh. Never thought of that before.
Anywho,
about the Far Side.
So this Kivas shithole, fuck that guy.
I do wonder if they had intention of bringing him back, because like you said, Ames, there was sort of a Harry Mudd vibe.
Yeah. He's definitely got like a personality that I'm sure
I don't know. I don't think he would have, because I think audiences liked Harry Mudd because he was charming.
Yeah.
Like, despite being a criminal and a charlatan, he was
and especially
a charming guy.
Okana was charming.
No.
But I feel like Fajo doesn't have any of the redeeming qualities that Mudd had that would make an audience want to see more of him.
Yeah. Well, and maybe that's why they didn't. Maybe they realized after the execution. But I feel like when they were writing him, that maybe in the back of their mind, they were like, this could be our Mudd.
Could be. Yeah, I could see that.
Okana didn't work. Gomez didn't work. Just as recurring character. Maybe this time.
Yeah.
Oh, they got Barclay at least.
I mean, I feel like they already have their Mudd with Q. Like, Q is the Mudd of the series.
To an extent, yeah.
I would rather see another episode with Fajo than another episode with Q.
Get
like Q.
the fuck out.
Yeah.
How did we allow you in here?
Not a Q fan. Oh my.
Oh my.
John Delancey is a treasure.
Oh, I love John Delancey. I just can't fucking stand Q whenever he shows up. I'm like, this motherfucker. All sense of, like, logical plot is going to go out the window because rule of Q. Like, everything's going to go whichever way Q does.
This
exactly.
Is true.
What's our next Q episode? Can we have her on?
I will show up drunk and angry.
I think it's Cupid is the next one.
At least that title makes sense. Unlike all the other ones where they just randomly jam Q in there. Think of places I'd like to jam Q.
Yeah, we made this joke before.
I know.
Did you guys see that the shuttlecraft was called the Pike?
I
did. I also noticed that this was another example of having an angled shot at the view screen so you can see that it wasn't just a flat 2D image. You notice that?
Oh.
No, I didn't.
When Fajo was up on screen, they cut to an angle over Picard's like right shoulder, and you're looking obliquely at the view screen, and we're seeing Fajo from an angle instead of.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
But they do that every time they show them. Like
they do, but it's always enjoyable.
Well, I've never
when it shows
noticed
up.
it, so apparently.
I see. I always kind of thought that was done for the audience's benefit because I think it would look really weird if there was.
Well, I mean, that's
Just a
usually
stretched
how
out
a
screen?
screen is depicted in a television show. They just insert the flat image and angle it appropriately.
Yeah, but I don't think it would work. I don't know. I don't think that the view screen has depth.
No, but it does. They've shot like there's an episode. I don't know if you guys have come across the episode because I don't remember what season it is when like the whole thing is fucked and shot, and you can see the inside and the inner workings of it and the wirings.
Oh yeah, it almost looks like a mini holodeck display in a way. That we haven't gotten to that one, but I remember
You know what I'm
that.
talking about?
I do. Now that you mention it,
I didn't get to see the inside of it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember when the hell that is,
It's
though.
actually Livingston's tank.
Oh yes. I don't know. I never thought of it that way. I mean, I know that that we see the angle, but I wasn't sure that
It's canonically that way.
It
like
is.
If you look, the nerds will happily talk your ears off about it.
Okay.
That like
Engage us in the Facebook comments.
Apparently, we're not big enough nerds for this.
Yeah,
Obviously.
I always thought that was
actually.
just the television show taking liberties. I didn't realize that it was intentionally supposed to be a holographic. Because if that's the case, why was it such a big deal? Sorry for going ahead. Why was it such a big deal on Deep Space Nine when they finally got a holographic viewer on the Defiant for 2 episodes?
Maybe
Because the people writing the episode forgot. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. Because it was like a big deal. It's like, oh, testing out this new technology. Oh, it's like you're really here.
maybe it's more depth. Maybe it's like the HD version of what they got on the Enterprise.
Maybe.
The 4K.
Maybe.
Ultra HD.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Anyway.
anything more on the most toys or Reg Barclay?
I really liked the wall sconces in Fajo's gallery.
They were kind of nice.
Were they really cool?
colorful.
noticed the wall sconces.
Yeah. They were
It's
kind
like
of
an old Christmas decoration or something.
Kind of, yeah.
I was a little jealous while playing The Sims that I didn't have such an option.
Aw.
No, we're all though.
I burned
Good
the house
week.
to the ground.
Good week.
Good
Yeah, I
week.
like both these shows.
Really
Very
good episodes for different
Yeah.
reasons.
Wow.
What do we got coming up?
Well, since you asked, Chris, next week.
I like that this is your new way of signing off instead of doing the Jake us out thing. It's
Oh.
now it's since you asked, Chris.
Next week on A Star to Steer Her By, we'll be covering 3.
Wait, what?
What?
Hey, what?
That is right. Next week, we are doing 3 episodes
Wow.
of Star Trek The Next Generation in one show of ours.
We're mad.
That's
We're
right. Well,
entirely
the reason
mad.
is because following week is a 2-parter, and we wanted to cover that in one show, and we thought that loading it up with other stuff would be
All right,
troublesome.
so next week is going to be complicated as hell.
It is, but a good thing is that 2 of the 3 are probably not worthy of that much comment. One of them is probably enough for half a show. So the 3 episodes we'll be talking about next week are, the return of a beloved character
Oh.
LOL.
in Sarek.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Sarek.
Oh, that is beloved.
Yeah.
Sarek.
No one loves LOL.
Zarex.
I don't think that's how you say that.
What?
Whatever you just said.
Zarex?
Yeah.
It's actually the Andorian
Zarex
form of
is
his name.
a juice drink.
Oh.
Is it?
Sounds gross.
It's
What's it taste like?
It's like grape and orange flavored syrup you mix with water.
Oh,
That's weird.
that sounds gross.
It's all right. So Sarek, you can guess who returns, and the return of a less beloved character in Menage a Troy, Menage a Trois, Troy, Trois.
Yikes.
Which is a fairly risque title, I feel like, because that's a threesome. That's
Well, we're doing 3 episodes.
that's true.
Hey.
Yeah, it's a Menage a Trek next time.
There's your title.
Yeah. Thank you, Jake.
Anyway, and
What's the third one?
and the third one is Transfigurations. Transfigurations.
What old character comes back in that? No one. It's
Dracula.
It's watching a blank screen for half
Yep.
an hour.
Better than Shades of Grey.
So we have Sarek, Menage a Trois, and Transfigurations next time on A Star to Steer Her By. Until then, find us online at
That's the one.
Facebook.com. Search for A Star to Steer Her By. We're also on Twitter and Tumblr too. Our name there is SSHB Podcast. SSHB Podcast.
Wait, is that SSHB or is that SSSSHB?
Shabodcast. So there's we are.
There's we are.
You can download our podcast on all the standard podcast platforms, including but not limited to SoundCloud, Star Trek, the Star to Steer Her By, SoundCloud, iTunes, Apple Tunes, and Google iTunes. And other podcasts where fine podcasts are casted.
You know what I saw? I was looking on us. I was looking at us on iTunes. We haven't had a new review in fucking forever.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
How hard is it to go and say, yes, I've listened to this. It's
Come
fine.
on, people. Get with the program. Okay, folks? I ask one thing. We come in here week after week and talk like assholes. And I ask but one thing. An honest but 5-star review. With an honest comment. And you can't even... Okay. All right, folks. Well, you know what? We're not doing it for the 5-star reviews. We're doing it because we love you. But if you love us back, you'll do this for us. You'll do this thing. And if you don't, that's fine. But just tell somebody about us. Share us. Let us know. Tell a friend. Tell an enemy. I don't know. If you're in the hospital, tell your nurse. If you're on a plane, tell the flight attendant. If you're a flight attendant, tell the passengers. If you're a pilot, fly the fucking plane, asshole. Don't listen to podcasts while you're flying. And if you do, make sure the autopilot's on, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how planes work. What are you talking about? Anyway, that's all I got. My name has been Jake.
This has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
And this is also Liz.
I do this because it's like one of the only things that gets me out of the house.
All right, Barclay.
Oh.
Yikes. We're actually in Chris's holodeck right now.
Oh, no.
I have a boring imagination.
Thank God.